You're looking at the Kızılelma. It's a Turkish autonomous fighter jet. And recently, during one single test flight, it did something that kicked off a conversation in the command center that could seriously redefine the future of air power. So let's dive into what they were talking about.
Okay, so imagine being in that room after the flight. You've got engineers, you've got top brass, and they're all just staring at screens, poring over the data. And there's this one huge question just hanging in the air, the one everyone's thinking, but almost afraid to say out loud. Did that machine, did it really do all of that by itself?
And then, someone finally just asked it, point blank. Are we saying Kizilelma completed the entire mission cycle without a single manual correction? And the answer that came back was just one word: yes. A single word that pretty much confirmed a massive jump in military tech had just happened.
So that one little word, yes, well, it opened up a floodgate of new questions. So we're going to follow that conversation and try to understand what it actually means for a machine to think for itself, way up there in the sky.
So what does autonomous really mean here? This isn't about some pre-programmed flight path, just following a bunch of GPS waypoints. No, Kızılelma was actively looking at the situation, evaluating threats, and changing its plan on the fly. It was, for all intents and purposes, problem-solving.
And this is what really separates it from, say, a traditional UAV or a drone. A drone is basically a remote-controlled plane, right? There's still a human with a joystick somewhere making the calls. Kizilelma is a completely different animal. It's an independent agent. The leap here is from a human making decisions through the machine to the machine making its own decisions for the mission.
And that, of course, brings us to the most immediate, most critical question of all. What does this mean for the pilot? I mean, who is actually in control when the machine can think and act all on its own?
When you put them side by side, the comparison is just stark. On one hand, you've got a human pilot, an absolute marvel of training and skill, but still, at the end of the day, limited by biology, G-forces, fatigue, you name it. On the other hand, you have a machine with none of those limits. It can pull maneuvers that would make a person pass out, and its reaction time is faster than human thought.
So, you have to ask, right? If the machine is faster, can take more punishment, and has zero survival instinct to get in the way, where does the human pilot actually fit into a real, high-stakes dogfight?
And here's the answer they came up with. It draws this really crucial line between strategy and tactics. The idea isn't that the pilot becomes obsolete. It's that their job gets a major promotion. They're no longer the ones just flying the plane. They're the ones designing the entire battle plan. And this part is absolutely key. The human is still the one in charge. Think of it like this. The AI can play the game better than any human ever could, but it can't change the rules of the game, and it can't decide when the game starts. That final go for any kind of attack, that still comes from a person.
So when a technology this disruptive comes along, it doesn't just change things inside the cockpit. It has the potential to redraw the entire world map. You're talking about the start of a whole new kind of global arms race.
Think about it from the other side for a second. During these tests, Kizilelma was incredibly hard to track, especially when conditions weren't perfect. This creates a fundamental problem for air defense systems that have been in place for decades. I mean, how do you fight an enemy that's not only unmanned, but might as well be invisible?
And this is why this specific test was such a big deal. It's not that other countries aren't working on this stuff. They are, but this was a public demonstration of a fully integrated system. It was a clear signal to the world that the age of autonomous fighter jets, it's not a theory anymore. It's here.
And you can pretty much predict how this plays out. It's like a chain reaction. Step 1, one nation proves it can be done. That leads to step 2, all the other global powers react, with a mix of surprise and, let's be honest, a lot of concern. Then comes step 3, everyone else scrambles to catch up. And just like that, you're at step 4, a whole new era of warfare has begun. The race isn't just about faster jets anymore, it's about smarter algorithms.
This quote just nails the new reality. We could be looking at future air battles fought entirely between two AIs, making decisions faster than we could even comprehend. Victory won't go to the pilot with the steadiest hand. It'll go to the team that wrote the better code.
So let's circle back to the human element here. If the machine is handling all the split-second tactical stuff, what's the pilot's new job? This is a fundamental shift in what it even means to be a pilot.
Their role becomes less about physical action and more about intellectual design.
They become the mission architects. And this goes even deeper than just strategy. They are now the ones responsible for defining the ethics of the machine, setting its moral boundaries before it ever leaves the hangar.
And this comparison makes that shift crystal clear. The pilot's brain power moves from real-time reaction, what do I do right now, to long-term strategic planning and setting the rules of engagement. It's less about instinct and reflexes and much more about intellect and foresight.
But here's the big what if, right? It's the question that keeps commanders up at night. What happens if you give control to a machine and then you lose the comms link? Or, way worse, what if an enemy gets in and takes control?
Well, obviously, the designers have thought a lot about this. The system is built with multiple layers of safeguards. The core mission logic is isolated, so it can't be rewritten on the fly by a hostile actor. And if it does lose contact, its default protocol isn't to go rogue and attack, it's to execute a safe return-to-base plan.
Which leads to this question, one that gets right to the heart and soul of 100 years of aviation culture. Has the art of the dogfight, the absolute pinnacle of a pilot's skill, just become a thing of the past?
And the project director had a really powerful and, I think, definitive answer. This isn't the end of pilots. It's just the end of pilots being the center of air combat. The sky is now a shared space, a partnership between human intellect and machine intelligence.
And that leaves us with this final massive question. We're essentially drawing a new line in the sand. Humans decide the why, the strategy, the mission, the morality, and the machines execute the how, with a brutal efficiency we can barely imagine. It's the next great leap in warfare, and it forces us all to ask, are we really ready for that?